This is Tim Vine here, telling you to tune in to Taz Uncut, one of the greatest YouTube channels on YouTube.
Pleased to be here with comedian, actor, singer and Gary Dingle for 6 years, Tim Vine. Hi Tim, it's great to meet you.
Great to meet you too. Well, actor. Some would argue with that. What was the other one?
Gary Dingle for 6 years.
Ah! Of course.
Is it nice to be back on tour again?
It really is, yeah. I mean, I've how long has it been? Gosh, a year and a bit, I think. So I just have. Is that thing of standing in front of an audience, standing in front of a sea of people, all staring at me and all applauding, and it's great. It does remind me, when I've been doing some stand-up and stuff as well as doing this Plastic Elvis thing, it reminds me, oh yeah, I remember this feeling, so I like this, yeah. So yeah, it's great to be back, yeah. It's great to be back, as Plastic Elvis would say.
How did you get started in comedy?
Well, I sort of, I always wanted to do something like, something that involved being on stage. Initially I wanted to be a pop star, which didn't really happen. But I was working in an office in Croydon, and I was mates with the security guard, and he said, well, we often talk about comedy, and there was a paper called the Stage Newspaper. Have you heard of that Stage Newspaper? It has kind of lots of stuff to do with theatrical things in it. And it had an advert for a place called the Comedy Cafe, and they were doing a competition night. So you ring up, put your name down, and 12 acts enter this competition. You all do 5 minutes, and the audience votes who the winner is. So me and my mate thought this would be a laugh, so we put our names down and we went along, and then we just joined in with this competition. And I kind of got the bug. That's kind of where it started from there. I mean, I had sort of started making a few attempts at stand-up at sort of friends' parties and stuff, but in terms of doing it publicly, that was the first real attempt. And I just discovered that there was this whole burgeoning circuit in London in the 90s. It was a great time to start that whole thing as a hobby, and I wasn't thinking of it as a career. I just thought, oh, this is fun, there's another place, let me go and do 5 minutes there, and let me go and do 5 minutes somewhere else, and let's do this, and it just gradually built from there. And then I kind of got offered a few bits and bobs. The first actual sort of job thing I was offered was supporting Boothby Graffo. Do you know Boothby Graffo? Very funny comic. Supporting him on a network tour of student unions, and it was about 30 gigs. So I thought, yeah, okay. So I left the job. That wasn't much of a job anyway, to be honest, although I met some great friends there. And then it just kind of went from there. But all the time, I never really thought I was going to do it as a job. That sort of happened by accident, really,
Was it difficult decision taking the plunge from quitting your job?
Was it difficult taking the plunge?
Yeah.
No, it really wasn't, because it felt like it was a natural thing to do at the time. It felt as though I wasn't really, my heart wasn't in my job. I was messing about a lot of jobs. I was like a kind of naughty schoolboy really in the office. I'd, mess about and climb on the roof and what have you. So I never really understood what my job was. I mean, I was in an admin department, PFS admin, personal financial services admin. I still have no idea what half of what I was being asked to do was. I genuinely didn't. So, when the comedy thing turned out to be a possibility to do it, for a living, that felt like it was doing something that I actually sort of had a bit of passion about, as opposed to, I was sleeping under my desk at work and stuff like that, when the boss was out. It really wasn't. It's not a good way to spend one's life.
You mix different forms of comedy in your act, including puns, one-liners and prop comedy. How did you find yourself using those forms of comedy?
Well, initially, I think I wanted to do, I just wanted to get a laugh. I was trying different ways when I was doing my different 5-minute spots. Sometimes I started with kind of chatty stuff, And then I kind of got into one-liners kind of gradually, and then that sort of built. But what I found when you wanted to do a bit longer, so when I was doing 20 minutes, I would do, when I got up to a full 20-minute spot in the clubs, I would do, you know, all one-liners essentially, and the odd prop that I could stuff in my pockets. But once I started doing a little bit longer, like half an hour, and then eventually 45, and then the first time I went to the Edinburgh Festival doing an hour, it was like, it's a bit much for an audience just to have me stand there and go, Velcro, what a rip-off, Black Beauty, he's a dark horse, and just like, you know. So it's nice to break it up with a few songs and things, you know. So it was gradual, but that's how it happened. All these things have kind of happened quite, you know, organically, really. I'd like to say there was some master plan, but it may have been God's master plan, but I happened by accident in front of me. I was very fortunate, you know.
You've hosted several game shows over your career in TV. Which have been your favourite?
Well, I really love hosting game shows, and I know they get a bit of stick, game shows, you know, when that whole sort of hi, you know, here is your host Tim Vine, good evening. Oh, you know, I really like the thing in game shows where you sort of you're kind of as the host, you're building it up like it's the most important thing, you know, like one of the first ones I did, Whittle on Channel 5, which is not, you know, going to be seen in the future or even at the time as a great piece of art. I used to like the fact that it was half an hour of television. At the beginning I would say the winner will win £250 and possibly £500. And I sort of made it sound like this was, you know, there was an awful lot at stake here. Well, I mean, you know, you'd be laughed out of a room now for suggesting that you could have half an hour of a quiz for that. But I quite like that. I like the idea of being a game show host and saying, this really matters, folks, you know, like Huey Green. Before your time, but the kind of, the archetypal, we'll be back after the break, all that. Is that camera on, by the way? Yeah, I'm just checking, because I don't know if I'm pointing at a doorknob.
Do you have a favourite comedian to work alongside?
To work alongside? Well, I suppose probably John Archer, just because we've done such a lot together down the years, doing bits and bobs and silly sketches and things. I mean, comfort zone wise, probably John, just because that's what we've done for so long. But anytime I work with comedians, I've always really enjoyed it. So I have to say, I find panel games a bit hard though. That thing where it's you and then you've got like 5 other comics. That's a bit too competitive for me. That frightens me a bit. I'd rather I'm the funny one. I don't want to have to try and battle with other funny people. But if it's not a competitive situation, like the stuff, you know, you were talking to me before we started filming about not going out. I mean, not going out with Lee, obviously that was great fun. There's sort of, you know, there's a sort of slight sort of chemistry between us that seemed to work, you know, when we did it. So that was fun as well. I don't know. I think probably. I think I prefer it when I know I'm the funny one. I know that sounds a bit odd to say it, but if there's lots of people around and we're all jumping for the same gap, that scares me a bit. And I go to Michelle.
Do you ever get fed up with people asking about you being the younger brother of Jeremy Vine?
No, I don't actually. In fact, people rarely say, I hear you're the younger brother of Jeremy Vine. They just say, is Jeremy Vine your brother? They sort of, rather than, no, I don't. We have our separate paths in terms of our careers, and you know I love my brother, and I'm very pleased that he's my brother and my sister, my younger sister. I'm the middle child. I like being in the middle. I'm used to that sort of position of being, you know, somewhere, not at the top, not at the bottom, sort of bumping along. You know, I don't know. There's some psychology about middle children, and I think it's that they sort of want attention. As you can tell, viewers, that's not me.
Do you think you'll ever bring back the Flair generation with it?
We occasionally have thought about doing the Flair generation, like at a party or something. But I very much doubt Jeremy would come to any of the rehearsals leading up to it. So I don't think we'd ever get off the ground. He's too busy. He can't sort of, you know. If I said let's go and rehearse some Flair generation songs, I think he might go, oh well, I'm not sure. but it was. I was going to say it's of its time, but it was out of place at the time. So anyway you put it, it doesn't seem right. I love those pictures of me with hair like this and huge flares. And I'm not sure I want to see a group picture of me like this, bald, wearing flares, pretending I'm still 17. It's not a good look, is it?
Are you good friends with Lee Mack?
Yeah, very good friends. Yeah. No, we've and again, a bit like John, myself and Lee have worked together on quite a lot of things. I mean, we did the sketch show in the early 2000s, so that was 20 odd years ago. And I first met Lee in 1996, I think. And it was a funny situation where Lee, when he first started, he did this gong show in Kingston. And he'd heard, he'd done some jokes, and he did a couple of my jokes. Now, he didn't know that they were my jokes, but he didn't know that this was a place that I went to regularly. So he did this, and when he did a couple of my jokes, the audience went, "Tim Vine!" like that, and he's thinking, "Who's Tim Vine?" And he came up and said, "Who's Tim Vine?" They said, "Oh, well, he plays down here quite a lot, and a couple of those were his jokes." So we had a laugh about that. And also when I did Fluke, and again, this is all a long time ago, 1997. Fluke was a game show I did on Channel 4, and Lee was the doing the warm up in the studio for one of those. I like to sort of highlight these moments before he went stratospheric, But yeah, no, we got on very well.
Plastic Elvis is a departure from your previous shows. Is this something you've been wanting to do for a while?
Yeah, I think Plastic Elvis was. I like the fact that you're going down to one. That's a better angle for Plastic Elvis, actually. Okay, it's Plastic Elvis. It works better with the wig. I look like the manager of the Wurzels is from America. So Plastic Elvis was. I mean, I've always been a huge Elvis fan, so the idea of doing an Elvis tribute act has really appealed to me. My main thing that I tried to get across to everyone before this tour was this is not a comedy show, because I don't want people coming along and going, and then there's no one-liners. Well, what's this? But it does have some humour in it between the songs. I try and be humorous, but within the character of Elvis. So it is essentially something I've always wanted to do. We'll see how it goes tonight. You guys are saying to see the show, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's up. It's in the balance, is it? Well, we'll see whether or not we can fit it in. But so I hope you enjoy it. It helps if you know some Elvis songs. Do you know any Elvis songs?
Yeah, a few.
Yeah.
You previously did Taskmaster. Was it as much fun as it looks?
Absolutely. That was really, really, really great fun. I mean, what you don't see with that, there's certain different points where it's hugely fun. At the very beginning thing, they basically say to you, you go to the Taskmaster house and you do all your tasks without anybody else there. I mean, the crew are there and stuff, but they put you in a little holding room, and every now and again they go, "Right, we've got another one for you, Tim," and you do about 6-7 a day for about 5 days. And it's just so much fun. I mean, Alex is there the whole time, and he's a lovely guy. The crew are nice. You feel like you're the centre of attention. You haven't got to remember anything. You're just messing about, Because I mean, one of the things that would make me nervous is remembering lines or remembering things, But there's nothing to remember. They just give you a task, and you just mess about and try and do your best. So it was great. And then the second bit that was really great fun is you've had all that fun, and you turn up at the studio several months later, and you're not allowed to talk to any of the other. None of you talk to each other about the tasks. And you sit there, and you've done so many tasks, you've kind of forgotten them. And then Greg says, this task, or Alex goes, this one is to do with da-da-da, and you see it on the screen. And you go, oh yeah, oh blimey. And you all look at each other and go, oh yeah, yeah, crikey. And so it's this thing of, it's fascinating seeing how other people have done the tasks and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I thoroughly recommend it. If you ever offered it, do it. It's great. Great fun. What a show, blimey. Very popular, isn't it?
Are you likely to return to Panto? Is it something you miss?
I will do Panto again at some point. It's the thing about saying yes to Panto is you'll be on the phone and you go, yeah, all right, I'll do it. And you get off the phone and that little just, yeah, all right, I'll do it. Or just yes. It's just a tiny little phrase, isn't it? But you've basically said that, that's it for 7 weeks. Can't do anything else. So although I love it and I feel like it does suit my acts, I would say it's nice to not do it every year. Some people just religiously do it every year, and I've not quite been like that. So I'm probably not doing it this year.
That's it, interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, and viewers, it's been a great pleasure. Tune in again to this brilliant podcast. Is it a podcast?
YouTube channel.
Let me start again. If I say start again, hi. tuned in to this brilliant YouTube channel. It's one of the best. What is it called?
Taz Uncut. Taz Uncut.
Taz Uncut.
Taz Uncut, right, okay. It's because I'm so posh. Taz Uncut, yeah. Tune into this well, you want to look at that one or that one?
Either.
This one.
Okay.
Alright.
His grandma was a massive Elvis fan.
Oh, is that right?
Whoa.
Well, you can't be Elvis, really.
You've got to do Burning Love, but I hear you don't do it.
We don't do it. It is what I've thought about. Lord Almighty, I feel my temperature rising.
It's a good dance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think he folded his arms afterwards. Have you done many more of these things?
Yeah.
Who have you? This is Tim Vine here, telling you to tune in to Taz Uncut, one of the greatest YouTube channels on YouTube.